In this video, I'm going to do some evergreen niche research with you to try and find new niche ideas as well as concepts and design styles that we can use for inspiration and apply to our own niches as well. Currently, it's a great time to be entering evergreen niches because they are seeing a spike in demand for Christmas gifts, Christmas shopping, and if you can get new designs to sell right here that are evergreen, that means they can turn into regular seller for the next year, which will help you generate that consistent passive income. Just a quick tip, PODcs is currently running a Black Friday deal for their annual plans. If you use my code PA50 and hit apply, then you can actually get 2 years for the price of one. So it's $99 for a 2-year subscription, which is amazing value for money. Once you've logged into your PODcs account, you will want to head over to the toolbar on the left, click on Merch by Amazon and Products Research. This will bring up the search mask for Amazon shirts, and I want to change this from basic to professional product research. I do prefer this over the basic one, and let's change a few of these settings because by default it will show you all of the best-selling designs on the American marketplace, and if you just copy these, you will have a very hard time getting sales because they are established bestsellers. Mostly they will have a lot of competition. We want to find some lower competition evergreen niches ideally, so we have an easier time of getting sales. First of all, for the bestseller rank, I will enter something around 250k, maybe even 300k, just a random number like 258000, for example, because this is still a decent BSR and shirts with this BSR will be getting regular daily sales, and it's more likely to find lower competition evergreen niches right there that you can still get a decent amount of sales in. Then what I want to also change is the monthly sales growth rate. So we want to filter out designs that are getting an increased amount of sales compared to the month before, rather than showing designs that are dropping off and not doing very well. So essentially I'll type in a minimum of 10% right here, and the keywords to exclude, I like to put something in here, especially if you've just passed a current trend. So Halloween is just over, that has been trending, and I don't want to really see Halloween designs for this evergreen niche research, so I'll put that in here, Halloween. And you can see in the suggestions I already did this for breast cancer as well, because that's also trending in October and I don't want to see a lot of those designs right now. So once you've got your settings configured, hit search. So scrolling down, we can see a lot of different niches mixed together. That's the goal, and you want to look through these and essentially, see if there's anything interesting that grabs your eye that doesn't seem like an oversaturated niche like gaming or unicorns or dinosaurs, something that's more specific and that could potentially be low competition. So the first design that stood out to me is this one right here. Even though it's a very simple basic text design that could be improved upon, it says, if I can't bring my Maltipoo, I'm not going. And I think Maltipoo is a dog breed, so you could use this as inspiration, create a scalable design and have a variable word for lots of different dog breeds, or you could do it for cat breeds. There's probably other categories this might work with as well, this sort of phrase. So that's a really cool one, and scalable designs, very easy to create to enter lots of evergreen niches at once. There's a similar one right here. You can't buy happiness, but you can buy a goat, and that's pretty much the same thing. I have used this phrase before, not for animals, but for other topics, and I have had sales with it. So again, that's another scalable design you could potentially use as inspiration. I don't say like just copy this exact design, but you can use a phrase and create your own version of it and then also sell that as well. If there's no trademarks in the phrase, of course, you would always have to double check for trademarks. And what else can we see scrolling down right here? This looks pretty interesting. So we've got a coffee mug, toast, bacon and egg. So that's probably a typical breakfast t-shirt. You could use this as inspiration and that concept for maybe different diets. So have a look at keto diet, for example, and see what people commonly eat for breakfast in the keto diet, or what they generally eat throughout the day, and then put those few items of food and drink onto a shirt together. You could do it for other diets as well, of course, not just keto. Maybe do it for vegans, for vegetarians, carnivores, right? So I think this concept could work very well if applied to other niches as well. And by the way, if you want to get sort of further insight into a specific design or niche, if you're not sure what it actually targets, you can also click the information icon right here if you hover over the design, and this will bring up the design detail page where you can see the title right here. You can copy it at the click of a button, as well as the keywords in the listing and the long tail keywords as well. You can individually select these like so, and then click copy copy, or you could just copy them all instead. If we look at the long tail keywords, what have we got right here? American breakfast. So that's sort of what it's targeting. Breakfast, coffee, right? So a combination of different foods. And then we get the bestseller rank and price history. This is quite zoomed in by default to the last few days, and you can draw out this graph with this down here, and then you will see all of the recorded history inside of PODcs. The blue bar is essentially the BSR at a given date, and the sort of dotted green line underneath is the price in relation to that date. And you can see it jumped right here all the way to $25 for a day or two, dropped back down and jumped again in terms of price. And the BSR has stayed pretty similar. It's dropped slightly since the price raises, but it was actually all the way down to 54K at the beginning of October, which is interesting because that shows the potential in this sort of design. If it's doing that well at the beginning of October, I could see it doing really well at the end of November, you know, early December for Christmas shopping for sure. And then on the left, you get some extra details like average BSR, median BSR, the average price, as well as the current and overall trend of this listing. Subcategory ranks can sometimes help you identify who this shirt is selling more for. So what sort of gender, what age group, that sort of thing. In this case, boys novelty and girls novelty is almost the same BSR, so that doesn't really help us. But oftentimes this detailed page can give you a lot of insight into the current sort of niche or design concept that you are looking at. And a quick tip as well, if you have found a design that you want to save for future inspection, what you can do is hover over it right here and click on the heart symbol. You can also add a tag to this. So maybe I'll call this diet. Maybe I'm looking for diet design ideas. Add, and then it will be saved in the favorites section down here on a sidebar for the MBA products. That's where you will find all of your favorites. And then what I would recommend is once you've got a list of favorites saved, you can then further investigate the titles for trademarks. You could look at the competition within that specific search term or niche. And I do have a separate tutorial on my channel showing you how I personally analyze niches and make sure that they are, you know, low competition, but also have potential to get sales. That is a separate video, a bit of a longer topic that you might want to watch if that's something that you're struggling with. In this one, we're just looking for ideas, and I'm sort of sharing my thought process with you. So my clarinet moods, another design that looks super interesting to me. I'm going to save this and maybe put music. I think that would be the main broad niche right here, but it is interesting because it's crossed with a specific dog breed. I'm playing clarinet. I like clarinets. I love clarinets. So maybe this sort of design could also work, first of all, for other instruments, but also for other dog breeds. What can we see if we click into this? This is for a Shiba Inu dog. Probably pronounced that wrong. And yeah, musician, kids. It's got a funny bit at the end with my friends are playing clarinet without me. I miss my clarinet. So this is a really funny design concept that could definitely be utilized in many different ways, I would say. And the BSR history, it's not that long, but it does definitely seem to be trending downwards, which is a good indication. Of course, it does say over here as well, overall trend is up, current trend is up. So this sort of design concept might be high potential for Q4 and sort of regular evergreen sales as well the year after. And yeah, I mean, cool concept, never seen this before, but I could definitely see it working. Another design I wanted to point out to you is this one right here. This seems to be linked to a solar eclipse happening in 2024. I know this is not really an evergreen design, but this is already getting sales and it could be trending a lot in 2024. So I'm going to save this as well. Just call it solar eclipse. So just a quick heads up about a potential upcoming trend next year. Then we've got short girl, like this simple vintage design style. It says God only lets things grow until they're perfect. Some of us didn't take as long as others. So maybe short girl is actually a niche to target. Never would have thought of that as a keyword or a potential evergreen niche, but I suppose this is worth looking into. So let's save it to favorites as well. And then I like this cross niche idea as well. So we've got a state right here and its outline mixed or crossed with Bigfoot. Really, really cool concept. Could see that working very, very well, and not just with Bigfoot, but you could probably mix the silhouettes of a state with other interests as well, things that people are just very passionate about. If you place them in there as a silhouette, just put the state name underneath, you will probably have some good evergreen designs right there. Then we've got drone pilot over here on the left. That design concept is very reminiscent of the Top Gun logo, so I wouldn't use that actual design style, but just the thought of the evergreen niche, people who like drones, does definitely get me interested. It's obviously been around for a while, so it won't be super low competition, but also think about new technology in general, whether it is something that's electrically powered or just hobbies that are related to things that are more recent and that have not been around for hundreds of years. So that's what I'm thinking of when I see this drone design. Then we've got a very simple but potentially effective cross niche idea here once again. So silhouette of a shark, and it says sister in there. Again, I could see this working for other animals as well if you place different family members into the shape of it. And I like this concept. I always give 100% at work, and it's got the percentages split up over the whole week. The lowest percentage is Friday. What I would do if I see a concept like this is not just copy it and upload it as is. I would just, add some job titles to this. You'd say, I'm a nurse, I'm a teacher, I don't know, just do a lot of different job titles and then put underneath, I always give 100% at work, etc. That way it's a bit more targeted and you'll have an easier time standing out compared to just having the exact same design as this. Here's a cool spin on the cruising niche that I've not seen before. It says cruising through 30 years. So this is a 30th anniversary cruise, essentially, for people, like a wedding anniversary. This design could be improved upon a lot. I think this graphic is not very generous, doesn't really look that exciting for cruises, but you could do that obviously for other anniversaries as well, and maybe even other topics, not just cruises. And another design that looks interesting to me is this one right here, because it seems to be a very specific dinosaur, not the the most common competitive one like T-Rex. This one looks more specific, and even though it's only got one review, it has got a decent BSR, so maybe this is an evergreen niche worth looking into. So just call this one Dino and hit add. And over here, this looks cool. So let's be honest, I do it for the snuggles. Hashtag newborn photographer. So a specific sub niche to photographers, someone who takes photos of newborns. Never thought of that, never thought to look into it. So let's add this as well. You don't have to give it a tag every time, by the way. That's just for keeping organized. You can also just click add. And lastly, here's another cool idea, Gaga Mingo. So I think that's grandma mixed with flamingo. Cool concept and something worth looking into as well. If you want to learn a very easy and quick way to find low competition evergreen niches on Redbubble, make sure to check out this video next.